All right, we live. Welcome to the According Sources podcast. I am your host, Andre Williams. Today, I am joined by Chris. Chris, say hello to the people.
People, what's going on?
And we have a special guest today. Um, I was introduced to this young man by Chris. Chris, you can do the rundown, man. I'm gonna let you do the rundown.
This my dude, True. He actually has one of the best hip hop minds I've seen in a while. Like he writes about it, he's dope with it. I let him talk for himself about it.
Hey, no, I appreciate that introduction. You building me up a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm all right with it. You know what I mean? I think I'm dope. I don't know if I'm that dope, but yeah, I love talking hip hop, man. Like hip hop has just been in my life since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So like I came up off of that. So I try to write about it, try to make sure, we write about other stuff too, talk a little bit about like video games and sports and all that on the website. I've been running that website for like 3 years now. So
What's you got to run the
um,
name? What's the name?
I got you. It's definearevolution.com. We have over 10 million views on the site over the last 3 years. So we did our numbers, like a lot of our articles, especially our hip hop articles, like Ninth Wonder messed with it. You know what I mean? Fonte. We had a lot of people like Questlove. A lot of people share the articles and all that, man, and show love. So no, I can't complain in that regard. But yeah, man, definerevolution.com. So we talk hip hop, talk a little R&B, talk sports, talk anything that's involved in the black culture. We try to cover. So
Well, that's what's up. Because today we're gonna talk about sports.
let's get it.
Today we're gonna talk about our top five point guards of all time. And feel free throughout the podcast. This is the people's podcast. So feel free to drop your website as often as you need to. It's greatly encouraged here to pub yourself as much as possible. Definitely. So we're gonna put it in the show notes and everything. So
Got you.
we're gonna start off on five. True. Who's your fifth greatest point guard of all time?
Oh man. You know, my list funny. I think my list funny because when I talk to everybody else, they tell me it's kind of funny. But number five for me, I got John Stockton at number five personally.
You know what? I
Um,
did a podcast earlier today, and the other person had John Stockton at five. Understandable.
but you know why? I'm gonna tell you why real quick though, right? So like when I was growing up, I hated John Stockton. I
Mm-hmm.
hated John Stockton. Chris know why. You know why. You know why. You know what I'm saying? Bulls fan. I've been a Bulls fan since I was like 4 or 5, man. So I never liked John Stockton. Even before the finals, I just never liked him. And when he was like a white boy with like shorts that was like way high. I just
Yep.
never liked him. Like I just never liked him. But I can't deny, man, this just a dude who was leading the league in assists, and he was what a point guard, traditionally always was. You know what I mean? So uh, he's number five on my list. But it's like I ain't gonna front. It's like I'm begrudgingly putting him on my list because I don't really fuck with John Stockton. I don't really bang with John Stockton like that for real. But like I got him at number five personally. I used to have him at number four. Um, but I try my number four. I got respect for the people of the game. I guess that came a long time ago. So
Okay.
I got to put somebody on there that's from back in the day.
All right. I respect that post because I think I got John Stockton at six on my list. So I can definitely understand having him at five. Chris,
And
who?
for me,
Yeah.
man, I gotta go with Steve Nash.
Okay. That was my pick
Uh,
too. That's my pick too.
I mean, just that just tells you how good the top five point guards of all time are. When you got Steve Nash at five. But I mean, the man was a consummate professional throughout his entire career. Just put the hard hat on. He went to work, do what he had to do, didn't whine about it. And I mean, it doesn't help that he led the league in assists 5 times.
When I think the flipping of John Stockton and Steve Nash for me is that I understand the concept of longevity with Stockton. I think um, I think Steve Nash's high was just a little bit higher than his. I think I don't think you could have put John Stockton in the offense that Steve Nash ran and it would run as smoothly. You know what I'm saying? But I think that you could have put Steve Nash in that pick and roll offense with Karl Malone, and I don't think that offense would have really missed a beat. But then there's other things about John Stockton that we talked about that is definitely better. His defense is obviously better. Um, he has the most steals in NBA history. So of course we're gonna say defensively he's better. There's just something about Steve Nash. I just like those teams.
That I mean, John Stockton had a jump shot, but I don't think it was anywhere near where Steve Nash was during his prime. But I
Nah,
want to say off the top of my head, Steve Nash maybe had only had like 2 seasons his entire career. He shot below 39% from the 3 point line.
that is
That's
a hell of a
crazy.
stat.
That is crazy. And when I say the lowest he shot was only like 34%.
He was a shooter, that's for sure. True.
Yeah.
Who you got at four?
It's funny.
No, go ahead. Go
It's
ahead.
funny, right? Because I want to put Steve Nash at 4, but I ain't gonna front. It's a couple of things about Steve Nash that makes me. I got Steve Nash like top 6, top 7. Um, so if I gave my personal top 4, Jason Kidd would be number 4, personally.
Jason Kidd is number four for
But
me.
yeah, but out of respect, I feel like out of respect for the old age, like I've been making jokes. And I know for a fact, Chris to see me. I mean, I made jokes about like everybody talk about the whole plumber, plumbers in the air and stuff like that. I think that's a whole stupid argument for
Yeah.
like the '90s, for the
Yep.
'90s. But like in the '60s, like they was really playing like them white boys they was playing really was like milkmen that like got on the court for a couple hours, went home and got a regular job.
And
So
then did
like
their
I
real
feel
job.
like yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like the '60s was like that, but I still think it's impossible for me to ignore Oscar Robertson as a point guard because I
Hmm.
feel like in that era it wasn't. I mean, there's only a select few people that was really putting up numbers like that. Like so I got two different top fives. Like because I'm a writer, I try to have like a respectable top five with that acknowledges all eras. So I put Oscar Robertson number 4. But when it's just me, like if I'm in a barbershop and we have the discussion, I'm gonna put Jason Kidd at number 4.
Yeah,
So I
Jason Kidd
got
is my number four. So
yeah, so I got Jason Kidd.
and I understand the Oscar thing too. I mean, I think he averaged a triple double for 5 seasons.
Yeah, he was a beast. Like I know we a lot of people like to give, what I'm saying, Westbrook a lot of flack and rightfully so. You feel me? Like rightfully so. But I think Westbrook as an athlete is ridiculous. As a point guard, he embodies whatever Oscar Robertson
Yeah, he's
did
taking it
back then.
to the next level.
Like
One of
he a freak of nature, man.
the
Like
yeah,
Russ a
not
freak of nature.
yeah. He's something completely different, especially with the knee injuries and shit like that. But yeah, Oscar averaged a triple double over like a 5 year span or something like that, which is just crazy. And even though those guys were, as you said, like they were literally plumbers and milkmen and like mailmen and shit like that, you still got to play the game against them, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
but you gotta think about it though. Like I be thinking about it sometimes. Like I was having a conversation in a barbershop, and he brought up the '60s. They was talking about like Wilt and Bill Russell, like Wilt's the GOAT, Bill Russell the GOAT. I have people saying it, and I'm like, man, you gotta look at the era, man. Like how many people outside of that era do we look at and be like, yo, these are some of the greatest players ever? You could say Oscar Robertson, you could say Wilt, you could say Bill Russell, maybe like one or two other players, but that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like so, I kind of look at that era funny, but it's still because I ain't lived through it.
yeah,
You know
but
what I'm saying?
the
Like,
thing is, that's gonna be the generation that you like a couple years from now.
Yep.
Like a couple years from now, like 10 years from now, it's gonna be some kids that's like, yeah, LeBron, what?
Jason
Yep.
Kidd, who? That's
No,
almost
they're
now.
not even gonna know who Jordan is. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
it's already
saying?
like that. It's already like that. On some
Yeah,
real, it's already like that for a lot of them.
yeah, because there's way too many people that think other basketball players was as good as him, or is or are as good as him. And he was a
True.
completely different. Like I talk about this all the time. This is my thing when I'm talking about Jordan and comparing eras. Like it is the greatest compliment to any of these basketball players to be compared to Michael Jordan, and it is the biggest slap in his fucking face to compare any of these players to Michael Jordan. Like it's it's to me it's unfathomable. It's unfathomable. There is no comparison.
No, I agree.
So I'm
I
sure
agree.
those guys love the comparisons. They're great for them, but it's a terrible comparison with Michael Jordan because nobody's like him. Chris,
Number 4.
number 4.
Gotta go with John Stockton. I know a lot of people put him at 5. Man, I mean, I want to say he had 3 or 4 straight seasons of 3+ steals. I think that's unreal to
I
lead the
think
league of all time in steals and assists, and by like a pretty big margin.
I think Baylor told me in his podcast that of like the 19 seasons he played, there's like 82 of them. He played 82 games or something like some insane number like that. Like he was the Iron Man. He was the NBA's Iron Man.
Yeah, he's never played less than I think one season he played 64, and one season he played like 50 or something. But other than that, he played like almost 78 plus.
That's craziness for a guy that's small and a person that plays like John Stockton played hard. I was talking on Baylor's podcast. It was like John Stockton was the dude that was setting screens on power forwards and centers. You know what I'm saying? So he's down there in the paint getting dirty, and to play that many games, he's an Iron Man. And then he, leads the league in assists, and he's leading the league in steals. John Stockton, he was he's one of those guys. Like there's three like short guys that I consider like the toughest guys. It's like Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Allen Iverson. Like those are the three. Those are the three toughest guys, like pound for pound, that probably ever played basketball to me.
Yeah.
But you move
I,
on.
I mean, bro, he led the league in assists for 9 years or 8 years or something like that. That is unreal. That's crazy.
All
You
he
don't
did
hear
was throw it to Karl Malone on pick and roll. Anybody could have did that.
that's the best thing about it though. You know what's coming, but can you stop it?
Man, if he had been drafted somewhere else, he'd have just been Bobby Sura.
You think so?
No, I don't. I'm, I'm sitting there. I'm being silly again. Yo, true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who you got on your third for your third greatest point guard of all time?
look, look, and Chris know this too. I'm slightly biased when it comes to point guards, especially in this current era we in, right? Because I feel like currently there's a wide gap between a player, certain point guard, and everybody else. Personally, so I got this man at number 3, and he's probably gonna end up being number 2. He would be number 2. I just got to wait. I just got to wait another year. I feel like I got to wait another year because he about to get another ring. I gotta put Steph in number 3, yo. And I was having conversations, and I feel like a lot of people they don't recognize exactly what he's accomplished, because I don't think you ever see anything. You've never seen anybody change the game like that. Like as far as point guards go, like you've never seen anybody that's changed the game like Steph. And I mean, he's got 3 rings,
Two
the only
MVPs.
unanimous MVP. Yeah, only unanimous MVP. He owns like what 4 or 5 of the top 3-point records ever. He
Yeah.
got a scoring title. Been all NBA. You know what I mean? Like, and on
Two
top of that, to
consecutive 50,
me,
40, 90 seasons.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, and also, what's crazy to me? On top of that, people don't talk about is as a point guard, we can look at the stats, and and your stats show as a point guard, you're supposed to be unselfish, right? But Steph is the embodiment of that in this era, without the crazy stats as far as the assists go and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like he might not be like, Steve Nash was like an 18 and 12 person.
Yeah.
Steph is like 26 and
And
6,
seven.
26 and
Yeah.
7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but his unselfishness on the court is why they win. That's his leadership. Like, I guess I got much respect for KD as a player because KD can ball out, but it's a reason why KD had to go to Golden State to win because Golden State had won with Steph. They was this close to winning back to back without KD. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I feel like Steph, man, like Steph just something different. Steph is unselfish enough to be like, yo, I let somebody else get the shine. Everybody else can get it. We want Boogie to come in. Hey, come on, like we gonna get it. And that might
Yeah.
mess up his legacy. That might mess up his legacy for some people. But
But not for me.
as far
Not,
as I'm concerned, they can have all that talent on that team all they want. Without Steph,
it
you
doesn't
ain't winning
go.
nothing.
Yeah.
You ain't winning nothing, brother. Like because he's their entire defense's system. The entire system against Golden State is let's neutralize Steph. KD gonna get his buckets regardless. Clay might go off. We can live with that. We can try to
Yeah.
neutralize Steph. We can
Especially,
beat them.
you definitely can't live with Steph going off, especially in Golden State. It's a,
Facts.
It's
it's
over
a,
with.
yeah, it's over.
That
Um,
and when it comes to Steph and people changing their opinions, I guess, of how great he is because of the players he plays around. I mean, is that really his fault though? Is that really Steph's fault?
I mean, but think about it though. Okay, the players that he's playing around are great, but they developed that way, and none of them, you know, KD notwithstanding, none of them
Uh-huh.
are as good as they are if Steph isn't as good as he is. Like he said, the
Facts.
entire defensive scheme is don't let Steph get threes. Well, if you're working so hard to not get Steph threes, you know how many times in the playoffs you see, like, how the hell did Klay Thompson get wide open for a corner three? There's a reason for that. Like, wait,
And you know what?
KD in the post, and nobody's double teaming them. There's a reason for that.
You know what though? It's something that I find funny is that when people talk about Steph, like obviously Steph is a reason for the 3-point revolution in this current game. Like obviously the 3-point as all 3-pointer was slowly becoming a bigger focal point of NBA offense over like I say the last 20 years. You can see, threes becoming more and more prevalent. I mean, obviously you got Ray Allen, but it was like an anomaly at the time, right? Like Ray Allen would hit like 240 or 250 in the season,
And it
and
was
that was look and
ridiculous.
that's and that was looked at as like nobody could ever do that. Reggie Miller hit like 212 in one year, and it was like nobody could ever do this. And then you got you know Dame Lillard hitting 250, James Harden hitting 255, Clay hitting two. So it's a whole different pace of game. But even with Steph being like to me the most dangerous threat from behind the 3-point line, it's like even if you stop him from you run him off the 3-point line, he's still to me one of the best finishers at the rim,
Yeah, he is.
especially for somebody his size.
For a
You can
guy
look
his
at
size,
Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? Like Kyrie is amazing finisher, but Steph to me is like right there. If you even look at the numbers and the stats, Steph is actually I think the second best finisher at the rim, and this is a 6'3" point guard. You feel me? Like this is a 6'3" point guard. Like yeah, he's finishing at the rim, like with the same percentage of a LeBron, and I think maybe better last year. I
that
don't
is
remember.
that is one of the more impressive parts of his game is that he's able to hit, and he hits a lot of layups through contact too for a dude that's small. So
He
that
don't get
is
no calls either.
he
He
does
don't
not
get
get a
no
lot of
calls
calls.
either.
He
Not
doesn't
at
get a lot
all.
of calls. He didn't get no calls in that Western man.
And this crazy thing about Steph when he doesn't get his calls? I guess because the same way. One of my other boys talked about this yesterday with me and Dre uh, about how Steph gets zero calls and how Derrick Rose got zero calls because Steph goes to the rim unrelentlessly and like an acrobat. Derrick Rose came at you with pure strength, but yet 6'8", 250 LeBron gets every single call.
Yeah, some people say LeBron doesn't get as many calls as he should. I'm not one of those people, but there are people that say that. Chris, we were on three. Who's your third?
My third point guard, Isaiah Thomas.
That was mine. Isaiah's mine too.
I mean, I really wish I could have seen him play basketball like live because YouTube replays and highlights they don't do it any justice. I mean, the man was unstoppable. That first step, if you didn't like get the first step, it's over with.
And I think something that isn't talked about enough. Like first of all, Isaiah isn't talked about enough. Period. Like in his historically, whenever they're bringing up guys that have won, it always goes Magic and Bird and Jordan and Kobe and Shaq. Like they skip right over Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons winning 2 consecutive championships, and they'll talk about Houston's championships more than they'll talk about the Pistons, even though those Pistons teams won championships between Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. Like Hakeem didn't win his championships until Jordan left.
Yep.
Isaiah was literally stopping Mike from getting to championships. He stopped Mike from getting to the finals 4 straight years and ended up winning 2 of them. So, I think Zeke is I think he's criminally underrated. And for years, I had him as my top point guard, not top, my second favorite point guard of all time, the second best point guard. But my number 2, he's done so much. It was hard to keep him out. And speaking of that, True. Who you got at
Yeah,
number 2?
yeah.
Who you got at number 2?
Y'all basically just said who I got at number 2.
Okay, you got
Right
Zeke?
there. See, here's why. Because, like I said, right now, personally, like I said, I'm taking my personal bias out of it, man. Like I try to be a little objective about everything. So taking my bias out of it, personally, I think Steph number 2, but I personally think Steph number 2, and it's not really close, but I got Zeke at number 2 right now. Like I said, probably by the end of next season, that's going to change. And if I was being real biased about it, he'd be Zeke would be number 3. But I just think, man, like I didn't get to watch Zeke in his prime, but because I'm a student of everything, you know what I mean. So I became uh I became a student of watching this because I mean, as a Bulls fan growing up, my uncle was just telling me a little bit about like the whole battles between the Bad Boy Pistons and stuff like that. I was way too, I was way too young to really live that. So by the time I finally got to start watching it, and I saw like the physicality and just like Zeke had handles. He could score. He you know what I mean. He was versatile as a player, and he could defend too. And for a guy his size, to me, I was like, man, this is a dude that he can really do it all on the court. And I mean, I always feel like the Pistons. The Pistons always, to me, are kind of like the forgotten, low key forgotten, quote unquote dynasty of the
They are.
NBA.
They are.
You
Nobody
know what I
talks
mean?
about them. Nobody talks about them.
Because we talk about the Spurs, right? Spurs ain't never been back to back.
Nope.
Spurs ain't never go back to back. They never been to 3 straight finals.
Dallas.
You know what I'm saying?
Dallas ain't
So
go back to back.
Nope.
We
none.
talk about
And
Dallas.
yeah, and like so when I look at what Portland, I'm not Portland. I'm sorry. I got the '92 final game on right now on NBA TV. I said the wrong thing. I look at the Pistons were able to accomplish. This is the era of the Celtics. This is the era of Michael Jordan in his prime. This is the era of the Lakers,
Exactly.
Showtime Lakers.
Showtime Lakers, and he wins
You
2
and you, I
championships.
mean, and you still had who? I mean, even in the East, on top of having Jordan and the Celtics, and we talking about a Celtics team that was like
Bird,
back-to-back
McHale,
finals. You know what I'm
DJ.
saying? 66 wins one year. They was beasting on everybody. And on top of that, you still had Dominique and the Hawks, who they were still making, in the playoffs every year. So it
Chuck
was
was
like a
still in
lot of
Philly.
talent. Yeah, like the talent was crazy in the East back in the 80s. And to see them go through the finals 3 straight years and also make the Eastern Conference Finals 5 straight years. Because they made it in 87. And I think they lost to the Celtics. They 88, 89, 90, they went to the finals, and then they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 91. So that's 5 straight years of being this close to getting to the finals. So and that's all I ain't gonna say this all because of Zeke, because obviously they had a great team. But Zeke to me that's the leader of that team. That's the
Yeah,
leader of the team. So you gotta give it up to him. You know what I mean? He got a Finals MVP under his belt. And even though like I said, Steph will be number 2 for me because I think Steph should have had a Finals MVP already. But you know what I'm saying? I think he should have got the first one. But I ain't even going to go into that. But I feel like he has 2 rings. Z got 2 rings. He got Finals MVP under his belt. He's got in the era that he was doing it in is why he's still number 2 for me, objectively speaking. But like I said, that's probably gonna change. Either way, my top 3 is not gonna change anytime soon. Regardless, they might switch a little, like 1 or 2 spots, but they're never gonna change. I don't even think there's really any debate on that. Like I think the top 3 are so far ahead because
of
the game is
everyone
about
else.
winning. Because the game is about winning, and there's only 3 point guards that I've seen that have won that were the top talent on their team. Like Jason Kidd finally got a ring, and like I said, I didn't like Jason Kidd really, but I liked Jason Kidd when I was watching him. Like I always thought he was a fuck nigga for real. I just never liked him,
Well, you
but
weren't wrong.
you know what I'm saying. When I watched him, I was like man, he just got it. Like you know what I mean. He just got it. He just understand the game, and he had great basketball IQ. But when you look at winning, Jason Kidd was very important
He
to
didn't
success
win
of
as a.
team,
He wasn't
but he
the
didn't win.
man on that team. Yeah, he wasn't the man on that Dallas team. It was Dirk, so that wasn't
Yeah.
his team. And
So the Nets, now I give him that though. I give Jason Kidd
he
that.
took him back to back, and
I give him that.
that's why he's in my top. Like that's why he's in my top 5. Like I don't think there was another point guard during that time they could have taken that Nets team to back finals. Like, it was they had talent on that team, but it wouldn't have worked with any other point guard besides Jason Kidd. At least that's how I feel about it. Now I'm gonna
No,
say
I agree.
my number two. My number 2 is Steph. For all the reasons that you just laid out. I mean, the guy has three finals rings, um, two MVPs, one back to back, multiple 50, 40, 90 seasons. Um, I mean, what more can you say about him at this point? And one of the things I was talking about is like longevity in the NBA. I was talking about it earlier. It's like, and I understand the concept of it, but right now, Stephen Curry is accomplishing more than a lot of NBA greats in less time. He already's matched LeBron in NBA Finals wins. He's matched him in half as many tries.
I'm about
Like,
to surpass him next year.
and probably about to surpass him next year in less tries. Like that's the thing. Like they're winning, and like it's not gonna stop anytime soon. They're probably gonna get like 2, maybe 3 more rings before the entire thing is over. They're gonna win next year, obviously. Maybe they lose and then they win again. I don't know, but they're gonna get more rings. So I mean, we could go on and on and on about why Steph is the second greatest point guard of all time, but I think mostly it boils down to his high being like it's like a nova, it's like a supernova. I think he owns 3 of the top 6 or 7 greatest offensive seasons in NBA history. Like his numbers were so far and away better than everybody else, it didn't make any sense. So it's like when he had when he had it going before KD got there, it was something. It was like a show for like those 2 years before KD got there when he was winning the MVPs. I think Steph was the most dangerous player in the NBA. Like that's when he became the most dangerous player in the NBA because the second he moves past half court, he's open and he can hit it. And it opens up so many different things for everybody else on his team. And like you brought up the unselfishness, how it extends beyond the game, on the floor and off the floor, and how he likes seeing everybody else succeed. It's like it's so many. Like all of that goes into the leadership of a point guard. Even if he doesn't average the 13 assists a game like other point guards do, it's so many other things he does that makes everybody better. So yeah, for me, Steph is second greatest point guard of all time. Chris, are you off of mute? Chris isn't off of mute, so we can go directly to
My
you for
bad,
your.
man.
Okay, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
didn't realize I was on mute for a second, but it's kind of hard to follow all that up with saying that I have Steph as number two as well. But I'm gonna say that for one reason that you guys didn't say already. Steph has won 53% of his finals games that he's played in. 53%. 8 of 15. That is crazy. And the fact that, I mean, he just gives so much to that team that I really do think that we don't appreciate it as fully as we should, and we take it for granted, just kind of the same way we do with LeBron's greatness. Because you take Steph off that team's not winning anything. I mean, like at
All right.
all.
Yo, I think
What?
I think I think that's the funniest thing about this era, right? I feel like it's the funniest thing, right? Because I feel like this era has been called like LeBron's era, but sometimes I don't really think it's LeBron's era because I feel like
Other people
everything
getting
that's
off.
happened. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
Yeah.
to me, I feel like this is low key Steph's era. The 3-point ball has changed. Like you got 7-footers that's shooting 150 threes a season. I mean, way more like hitting 150 threes a season. And on top of that, like you got, you know what I'm saying? Like people are teaming up right
Yeah.
now because they want to beat the Warriors. Like I don't care. I mean, I understand people say like KD went to the Warriors because they want to beat Braun, but I mean, like they beat Braun before. I don't really like that. I don't really like that
Yeah,
argument.
that's not a good argument. It's
It's
You
stupid.
not
know,
because they beat him
yeah, this is
before
not.
without him.
It's not like, but like I said, like that's a point I want to make. It don't have nothing to do with point guards. This is a point I feel like I make because I've said this before and I don't think people really understand. Like I've always felt like when LeBron went to Cleveland, LeBron had an idea of where the game was going and he wanted to be ahead of everybody else. So he got with two stars because Wade was getting old, Bosh was getting older and had little health problems and stuff like that. And it's, you know what I mean? Like they were both in their what, like all three of them was in their like 10th, 11th, 12th season. So
Yeah,
he went and got with a young, you know what I mean, a young flashy, amazing offensive player like Kyrie. And then he got, stretch four and Kevin Love. And
A 20
that's where the
dude.
like I felt like because I mean I felt like he knew where the game was going, and I've always felt like the Cleveland Cavaliers when he came back, that team was supposed to be built to beat the San Antonio Spurs, who were getting older, not to prepare for the onslaught that is the Golden State Warriors.
that's a good point.
I've always felt that because I always felt that's what it was because he couldn't beat the Spurs like that. Like all through his career, he's always had trouble with the Spurs, except for 2013. But that's a, you know what I mean, like. That's it. Like the Spurs dropped the ball, and that was it. As soon as Spurs ain't win Game 6, 2013, I was like, oh, that's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of the same
because
thing with the Golden State Warriors in Cleveland 2 years
yep,
ago. I said once they lost Game 5, and they lost Game 5, I was like, oh yeah, this is over. This is too much
yep.
momentum. It's too much momentum. Um,
But that's why, like I said, I feel like Steph is going to be number two overall for me, and I feel like he could be 1B to my 1A when it's all said and done.
ooh,
I don't think it's gonna be no 1 or 2, yo. I honestly don't believe it's gonna be a one or
that's
two.
interesting.
I'm gonna be complete. And the
I,
reason why is because like you said, right? So like Steph got what 4 finals trips under his belt right now, right?
yep,
4 finals trips in what 9 seasons,
yeah,
like 8 or 9 seasons, something like that. And I feel like it's almost unless like some catastrophic injuries happen, even without Boogie, I thought that team was going back to the finals again.
easily.
Like
Definitely.
even without Boogie. So they make a fifth straight finals, win a fourth straight ring, and you got to understand that if this core sticks together, the core they got, and them young boys, some of them young boys like Jordan Bell, you know what I'm saying, Quinn Cook, you know what I mean, like eventually Iguodala and Livingston gonna be gone, but you keep them pieces in place. This is a team that's gonna be in contention for the next, if they stay together for the next 4, 5 seasons after this.
Yeah, like I said, I think I still have them winning. Maybe two more after this,
I can see that. I can
and
see two more.
then
I can see more than that
and
even, but it just depends on the depend on everything else.
Yeah, then I mean, who knows what happens? Anthony Davis decides to go there, and then all bets are off. They're never going to lose again, um, because that's still in play. The Anthony Davis thing is still in play for them.
I hope that
So
don't happen, man.
I hope it doesn't
I
either.
hope
But
that don't.
like that thing is still in play. So we'll see what happens with that. I think we're all pretty much in agreement with who the top point guard of all time is, right? Like, there's Chris. You don't have any like random like Muggsy Bogues or some shit like that, right?
What, a number one?
Yeah, like we're all in agreement. Same person. It's Magic
No,
Johnson.
I actually got Sebastian Telfair.
Okay, Magic Johnson, right? This is like the third time today I've heard Sebastian Telfair. Like, that is so goddamn random. But who do you have in number one, Tree?
I was sitting here thinking of like a terrible point guard to use,
And then he
but
said Sebastian Telfair.
since Kristen already like he already took that. Like I was gonna bring out a name out the woodwork. I was gonna bring a name out the woodwork, but I mean it's obvious, man. Come on, man. Like I think Magic is still that's the standard for point guards. Like I mean the only thing Magic could have done better was shoot, and he still was able to drop 20, 25 in the game even without the ability to be a great shooter. So and for that era, shooting wasn't really. It's crazy when you think about it, right? Because like shooting wasn't as prevalent in his era. So I mean, it's clear, man. That's Magic. We talking about a dude that could get 25, 8, and 15 in a finals game. Um, Somebody that won like 5 rings
Five
in
rings,
12
went in
in 12
12
seasons,
seasons,
right?
went to 12
Nine
seasons,
finals,
and been to
nine finals.
9 finals. Like, so his
That's
entire
crazy.
career was just basically going to the finals. Like, that's all he did.
That, that's all he knows is winning. That's all he knows is winning, man.
He
Like
revolutionized the game of basketball with his height and his ability to dribble. Like, I understand, what LeBron is, but if Magic doesn't come around, there's no like archetype like Magic. Like, they still have LeBron posting up or something. You know what I'm saying? So because of the way that Magic revolutionized the game, you never saw a big dude dribbling the ball. It was the big dude gets in the post and the little dude throws in the ball. Magic flipped all it on his head. So now you have all these big 6'8", 6'9" dudes that can dribble. So it's like he revolutionized the game in that way. And not to mention the fact that him and Larry Bird saved the NBA, just by being
Um,
great. What are you saying?
I said honestly, and when you talk about how shooting wasn't really prevalent back in that era in the NBA, it's crazy to think that Magic only had 2 seasons where he shot above 35% from the 3-point line.
Magic was
Two
taking like one 3-pointer a week. You know what I'm saying? But he was making sure that the ones that he took, he hit. So,
Definitely. I mean,
and
there's not much you can really say about him. He's easily just the greatest point guard ever, if not one of the greatest players.
yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest players. So, true. You got any honorable mentions before we get up out of here?
honorable mentions. The only people I guess I didn't have on my list. I didn't have was Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Wasn't on my list. Steve Nash is probably the biggest one. And I give this man this as a pure point guard who is efficient, even though he ain't gonna ever win shit. I gotta give props to Chris Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna say
C,
CP3.
yeah, CP3. Like I said, he never. I don't think he ever gonna win shit. I don't want him to win shit. But
Hey man, hey,
look,
that what a
look,
coincidence.
listen. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, right? Like I've seen Chris Paul play the entire career, and I've never. I love his on court game when it's pure, but he
Not
got
when he
so
on that
much.
bullshit.
He got so much bitch ass niggas like yo. It's some bitch ass shit that he does, and I'm like yo. He does a lot of dirty shit,
Yeah.
and to me, I'm like man, like it makes me mad because I'm like yo, you good enough, and you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to be dirty. So like I said, like Chris Paul and Steve Nash to me as point guards, like because I got to watch both of them. Like it sometimes like there was a point when I think when CP was in New Orleans that I was like man like it was him when him and Darren Williams was going back and forth for who's the best point guard in the league. I was just like man this dude is amazing. And then like it got progressively worse to me as the years went on. Like, because I feel like nobody understands when I say this. I feel like CP he's regressing overall as a player in certain aspects. Nobody understands what I say when I say that, but I feel like he's regressing a little bit. Like, he's still a great passer, but I just don't feel like he's not in his prime anymore. And I think defensively, I think he's always been he's always been a really good defender. But I feel like that last all defensive
Now he got the Kobe
nomination he
treatment.
got,
He got the
yeah,
Kobe treatment there.
yeah, like I see him get cooked a lot of times, and I felt like he didn't do a great job of guarding in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, he got injured after a certain point. But even before that, I didn't think he did a great defensive job against Minnesota. I didn't think he did a great defensive job throughout the season when he played. And I felt the same way the year before that. He was in Clippers. So I feel like he's
So
regressing. But
let
in
me
his
ask you a
prime,
question here. So you don't.
I think he's great. In his prime, I think he's great though.
Okay, yeah, in his prime. I mean, my honorable mentions were John Stockton and and CP3. Like you said a lot of stuff about CP3. There ain't no need to rehash it. He's a hell of a basketball player. I do think in some aspects of like his career, I do think he's a bit overrated. For people who have him, top two, top three, because of his BPRM or whatever the hell stat they're using to tell you the basketball players are good right now. But I mean, if you don't have Chris Paul, John Stockton, Steve Nash, and some rotation in your top 5 to 10, then something's wrong with you as far as point guards. Chris, you got any honorable mentions?
Well, of course, I got CP3, and you know,
What?
I I got CP3. I mean,
Oh,
as much as I like Chris Paul. When it comes to players I don't like, I still respect greatness, and Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of our generation of all time. But at the same time, I can respect greatness and still be critical of the dude. I mean, I just feel like he never gave what it took to win past, you know, um, kind of like sharing the ball and running the offense. As great as a leader as he is, he never gave that extra mile. Kick the team into overdrive or put the team on his shoulders like Derrick Rose or the way that Derrick Rose used to do that and carry the Bulls and situations they need a shot. I got you. Instead of Chris Paul's passing the ball.
yeah, that's why it's very difficult for your point guard to be the best player on your team because like especially a pure point guard when a guy's like Chris Paul because like his mentality is to get everyone else involved. Even though I do think Chris Paul got dog in him, but like True
Yeah,
said, it's a lot of shit about him that's just annoying, like all of the flopping, trying to draw offensive fouls and get guys kicked out of games and like all of the other stuff.
Man,
I don't like that
man.
either. I hate all of that. The thing he grabbed Boogie's arm and then flailed backwards. Or, somebody touches him, he goes flying. It's like all of that stuff that he does. Like True said, it's like those are the things that lead me to not really like him. But even without liking him, I can acknowledge what he is. He's a top 10 greatest point guard of all time. So
when it comes to Chris Paul and his time in LA, the Clippers were a viable threat to win an NBA championship. This was before the Warriors became the Warriors, and this was, I want to say, a little bit before and after LeBron left Miami. The Clippers should have won a championship or at least made a finals appearance
they
within
had
those
some,
4 or 5 years.
you
They
know,
should have.
to to his defense, they had some really terrible luck
They do.
between him
Blake,
getting hurt
Blake Griffin.
in the playoffs or Blake Griffin getting hurt in the playoffs. It's like it was always something with that team. Sometimes the team is just snake bitten. So
2015 was their greatest chance. I
is that
fully
the
believe
is
that.
that the one where he messed
2015
up
was
his
their greatest.
is that the one where he messed up his hamstring?
I can't. You know what? I can't remember the series like that, but I do remember they blew the 3-1 lead. So I think that might have been what it was. I think it was something injury wise. It was something injury wise that made it But I can't remember who got injured like that, man. Because I'm like Blake played CP. No,
Yeah,
CP. It was
CP.
CP.
Yeah,
It was
CP.
CP. It was
He hurt his
CP. It was
hamstring in
CP.
the series before. He hit that
Yeah,
game-winning shot against
Yeah.
San Antonio in Game 7. They're like running the running floater, and I think he may have hurt his hamstring on that play,
because
maybe.
I
But
don't think because he didn't play every game in that Houston series when they blew the 3-1 lead. I forgot how many games he missed. Might have been like 2 or 3, but I know he didn't play every single game because that went 7, and he definitely didn't play
yeah,
all 7. So
yeah, I think that
I
is
want
the
to say he
case.
missed game. I want to say he
One,
missed
two,
game what 1, 2,
1 and 2,
something like
maybe.
that.
Yeah, I think it was
You
one
know
and
what's
two.
crazy though? They split.
It's
They split those
they split.
games.
Yeah, I was like it still went 7. That was
Yeah.
because that was when James Harden. He's James Harden in the playoffs. What he does, he plays like shit. He gives you
And he
one
wasn't.
good game.
Hey, I just want to point this out real quick because I've been hearing people tell me this for years about 2015. I don't think James Harden should have won the MVP in 2015, and I think in them playoffs you saw why he shouldn't have won because people said his team was trash. But if I remember correctly, I saw Corey Brewer have better games in the playoffs than
It's
James Harden.
Yeah, because James Harden plays good in game 1 of the series, and then he plays badly the rest of the series. Like that's a James Harden staple that you're not getting a good series from him in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a conditioning thing, it's a nerves thing. I don't know, but he plays good for
His
one
game
game.
doesn't, and I think Chris can attest to. I've said this before on Twitter. I don't think James Harden's game translates well to the playoffs
What just
because it's a
one-on-one
tight,
basketball? Yeah, no.
it's a tighter because it's a tighter game. You got to
It's
play
true.
defense in the playoffs because every game counts. It's not like you could take a night off, and Harden take a lot of nights off on defense, but
Man.
you can't you can't take a night off on defense, and on top of that, also your efficiency matters. Like if I watch like some of the best players, if I see Braun have a game where he goes 5 for 18, that's not the usual for him. If KD go 5 for 18, Steph go 5 for 18, that's not a regular occurrence. We're talking about KD who 50, 40, 85 almost every season. Steph 50, 40, 90 like 2 or 3 of the last what 2 or 3 of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with Harden going 5 and 18 is a regular occurrence.
And
That's
the
a regular
crazy thing
thing.
is he's gonna have like 35 points
Yep.
on like 15 for 18 free throw shooting or something like that. That's yeah,
Yep.
that's his game. But like you said, it's before Andre Iguodala got hurt, I posted a stat in this thread, and it said that in the 48 possessions that Andre Iguodala guarded Chris Paul and CP3, they only got one basket as a direct result of that play.
Mm.
He shut them down, those two players, 47 of the 48 times he was guarding them.
That's why I think when people say when people was like, "Yo, if Chris Paul played in the Western Conference Finals, that perhaps the uh, the Rockets would have won." And I still say if Iguodala played Game 4 and Game 5, that that series is over in 5.
Steve Kerr said the exact same thing.
And you know what? I think that was I feel like everybody understands that. Like that's gonna be, to me, that does a wonder for Chris Paul's legacy because it's like, yo, if he would have
If he'd
played,
have
they
played,
would have
they'd have
made it.
won.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'd have
definitely.
won.
Now this coming season when the Houston get knocked out second round,
Oh
and
man, you know what? Hold on, before you go any further, I've never met this dude before. We have not collaborated to talk about Chris Paul in this manner. I don't want anybody to get any feelings because we're talking about Chris Paul. Have I ever met you before, bro?
never. But listen, if anybody got a problem with me talking about Chris Paul, you can direct it at my Twitter at True Automotive because I'm ready for all the smoke regardless. Because I do this in real life, bro. I be out here in real life. I like if they want smoke, I'm with the smoke. But like I said, I got respect for Chris Paul because I think this playoff season he earned a lot more respect for me as a player. I still think he a little bitch or whatever, but I have respect for him as a player because I never saw him go that hard because that's how I know he wanted it.
He wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
That's what
But
actually made it funnier when he
but
didn't have it.
reality reality is such a bad thing sometimes, right? Like reality is such a harsh thing that now when CP goes and he looks and they try to go small ball lineup and they need defenders and Ariza, who was their best defender,
Man,
is
I can't
gone.
believe they let Ariza and Luke and Mute go.
And you know what's
Both
crazy? I was
wing
never
defenders.
I was not on the Mbappe like bandwagon, but then I looked at the numbers and I looked at some and I started paying attention more to his one-on-one defense and how
Defense,
they would switch.
everything goes up when he's on the floor.
And I saw that and I was like, man, they need him. And the fact that he was just see, Houston, to me, Houston is gone. That's it. They're done.
Yeah, they had their chance. I
Yeah.
think that's probably
That
over.
was it. Like you got I ain't gonna front. I personally believe that the team that's going to end up going to the Western Conference Finals this year, it's not the Lakers. Not this year. It's not the Lakers this year. I actually think
Lakers
the
next year, though.
Lakers next year can probably go to the Western Conference. They're not going to probably win next year, but I think they'll make the Western Conference Finals if everything goes according to plan. And that's if everything goes according to plan because there's a lot. Like I don't really think Bron's focus is going to be on 100% basketball. I don't really think it is because I feel like this wasn't basketball wise. This move ain't really make too much sense. It doesn't
Not
really make too much sense.
not initially, no. Not
Like
initially.
when if you get Kawhi to come play and then you might get I don't know Dame Lillard or somebody, then okay, it makes a little more sense. But then it's like you don't know those personalities to mesh well. Like you don't know if there's like everything is gonna mesh well. Like and I
Yeah,
feel
because
like it's not.
that's a thing.
It's
Chemistry is a
hard, man.
thing.
It's hard. It's hard. And when you've got a team that's got built-in chemistry already years in, if that sticks together, they know how to win. They know how to play defense. Something Braun does not do in this era, right
Speaking when
now.
you speaking of when you say built, true. Uh, you know, I don't know how this Laker thing is gonna work because I think one thing we forget is that as great as LeBron is, it's also a hamper to play it alongside LeBron James because no matter who you are, a star or not, your game has to change to suit him because he is the greatest, or not the greatest of all time, but he's the greatest in the league right now. 1A, 1B with KD. Your game changes, and that's asking a lot of Paul George and Kawhi, but Kawhi still wants to play there anyways. But I think that's one of the main reasons why Paul George stayed in OKC because of LeBron James' presence on the court.
His presence is dominating. It's domineering over lesser players. You do have to change the game, and like you said, he's the greatest basketball player in the game right now, so that's completely understandable. But I'm interested
But
to see
okay,
how this goes. I don't know
so
how it's going to go for LA. It looks like it's going to be funny to me though.
I think it's gonna be a disaster, right? But here's why I think it's gonna be a disaster. If you ask me, and I said this earlier today on Twitter, I said if you ask me who I think the actual best player in the world is right now, my answer is not gonna be the same as everybody else's. It's not.
Who you
It's
Me
got?
not gonna
either.
be
Anthony
the same.
Davis.
Huh? Anthony
Anthony
Davis
Davis.
to me, if you ask me who's my top three, there's actually a chance that Braun might not make it in there.
Wow, that's interesting.
And here's why.
That's probably the first I've heard of that.
But and I'm gonna tell you why. Because basketball is about playing both ends of the court.
He doesn't play defense all the time.
At all.
Like 95% of the time, he's not playing
He
defense.
plays
Here's
zone coverage.
and listen, when we go into every season, to me, the best player in the world should be based on what you do every season, right? Because when Kobe was looked at by a lot of people as the best, but he wasn't always that. Like the year before, it was might have been Tim
Tim
Duncan. It might
Duncan.
have been you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It might have been whatever else. Like and then maybe Kobe wasn't the best 2000 whatever 2010, and it was Braun. So at some point what you do on both ends of the course matter. The reason why I always felt Kobe was the best for a number of years is because he played
He
both
played
ends
defense.
hard. He played both ends hard. Like when Michael Jordan was the best player in this league, the best. This man he won a
All defensive
defensive
teams.
player of the year. He was an MVP, scoring titles. He did everything.
Everything.
Now I think LeBron's style is what makes people look at him and say, yo, he's the best player. He's a great passer. He can score. He's becoming a much better shooter because he has to do that when he gets older. Like his motor is still great, but I can see that I think if we
Lateral stuff isn't the same.
yeah, like there's certain stuff that's declining. Father Time is undefeated. So if you ask me, I think the top three. I said the top three. I would still have Braun in my top three, objectively speaking. But if I actually take away the all of LeBron and look at like Anthony Davis can't pass like LeBron. KD can't pass like LeBron. But then again, it's like, have we ever seen him in that role? Like, is that asked of these people? They ask so much of LeBron that I feel like that's why we look at him like that. It's because they're teams that any other team, you're not going to ask that much of a player because
You would
every
hope not.
piece every piece should be able to do their job. In my opinion, I've always felt like if you're the best player in the world, you should make everyone on your team better. I don't think LeBron has done that in some years, personally. Not everyone. I feel like he's hindered Kevin Love's game a little bit.
That's
But
just
that's
by
and
just by his presence. His presence
yeah,
alone does
Definitely.
that.
like now I'm not gonna say like Tristan Thompson, he a bum anyway, so I'm not gonna, he's a bum to me. Like but maybe with the right guidance, he could be better, tougher. Maybe. I don't know. And you got JR. JR's JR.
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's who
matter.
he is.
But with Kyrie was great next to Braun. But as far as I'm concerned, Kyrie was great before Braun came back. Well, not great, but he just wasn't winning anything. I think Braun came there. Obviously, his presence. Uh, you're gonna become a playoff team with Braun on your team, regardless. So I do think in that regard, he is probably the one of the most valuable players in this entire league. But I think everything when we look at who's the best player, greatest player in the world, I feel like you got to look at it. To me, the best player on both ends of the court last season, to me, was Anthony Davis. Personally, we talking about he was what top 3 in MVP voting, defensive player of the year. Like I said, overall, it's still probably Braun. But
By the criteria that you're laying out, I'm not upset at that. Anthony Davis is a problem. He rebounds the ball,
and I
dribbles,
think
shoots.
also,
I mean, there's nothing that he can't do. So if you're going by the criteria of both offensive game and
and I
defensive game, then yeah, that's probably the best choice.
and I think KD personally
The first
kind
half
of
of last year, he was playing defense.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was something going on. I don't know if
Steph got
KD
hurt.
had an
No, Steph
injury.
got hurt. Steph got hurt.
When
Yeah.
Steph got hurt, yeah. When Steph got hurt,
Yeah,
I
and
think
then he had to.
that
That's
puts
when he
too much
stopped
on him.
playing. Yep, that's when he stopped playing defense because then he had to become the focal point of the offense. Like he already is one focal point, but now he's the focal point, and his defense definitely suffered. He was like, I think after Steph got hurt, he was a minus defensive player for the rest of the year.
But I'm gonna
And
say something. I'm about to say something. So I said AD, I said KD, right?
mm-hmm.
All right. So AD is amazing on both ends of the court, right? But AD's like 7 foot, so he gonna
Yeah,
get what he want anyway, right? And then KD is like 6 foot 11, 7 foot, and he got a jump shot, so he gonna get everything he wants, right?
true.
Personally speaking, I think the person that could possibly actually be the best player in the world, it's just that it's hard to give him that because of his size, is the same person y'all said is the second greatest point guard of all time. And here's why I say that. He played better defense in the playoffs than I saw LeBron play all last season.
Man, just by trying, that's how he was
Like,
playing better defense. Just by actually, doing things. There's a lot
Yeah.
of times LeBron just be standing around and watching on defense. And like,
Literally, and
we
pointing in the
understand
right
it.
thing.
And we understand it because he has a whole bunch on his shoulders when it comes to their offensive game plan and all of that other shit. But on defense, he just be standing there, man.
But you know what's crazy, right? We understand, like, oh man, Braun got so much offensive responsibility. But how many times in NBA history have we ever said that?
We don't. We
He
only
don't
say
play
it for
defense,
LeBron.
and that's like, come, like you feel me? Like I feel like would you expect him to be playing defense? At age 33?
Well, he's a
I
basketball player.
100% recall. Yeah, I'm
He's a
like
basketball player.
I recall Kobe at 33 getting named to the All Defensive Team. I remember Jordan getting named to the All Defensive Team, still putting up 26, 27 points a game. Jordan was winning scoring titles at that
Yeah,
age.
I mean,
So,
you don't have to say nothing. A lot of rules have changed for LeBron. So we talk about it. I've talked about it pretty extensively
but so
on
with
this
that, right?
podcast.
So with that, right? Every player that's usually named the best player in the world is because they win, right? It's because they
Typically,
win.
it's typically how.
Typically, right? People said Magic and Bird were the two best players in the NBA because they won. People didn't want to give Jordan the official title until he really won. So, going with that criteria, to me, the most dangerous offensive player in the entire game, to me, is Steph. Because you can't really slow him down like that. Like, I actually think you could slow LeBron down offensively.
Yeah,
I saw JaVale McGee do it. That bothered me. That
yeah, he was
bothered me.
having problems with JaVale for it was like 2 games in the third quarter. He was having problems for some odd reason. It was weird.
That bothered me. That bothered me a little bit. And then you see like Iguodala actually gives him a little trouble too. But I think it's because they know when LeBron drives and what LeBron is going to do. LeBron's game is very predictable. It's just that he's such a beast at what he does. But his game is like if you watch him when he stands up there, he's standing up there right like he's dribbling and he's looking, he's surveying. I can usually call out what he about to do before he does it. Like maybe 5 seconds before he does. I'm like, all right, LeBron's he's surveying the court. Nobody's really making no moves to get open. He about to try that damn step back three he does, and he does
He
it every
wasn't. He
single
wasn't.
time. It never. I've never once predicted it, and it never happened. Or he's looking. I'm like, he about to drive the lane because they're about to open up. They're about to open up the lane for him a little bit, and he'll drive. He might not hit a shot, but he'll drive the lane. The only thing he's ever done I didn't see coming was he did when he was hitting the mid range jumpers on Toronto. That was the only thing I didn't see
The
coming.
fadeaways because nobody
Yeah,
saw that coming. That was
yeah.
ridiculous. So
That pissed me off because I was like, if you can do that, do that. Because I ain't expecting that. But like
you,
when his driving and his shooting is so predictable. But it's just that people fear him. People fear him.
yeah, he's 270 pounds, 6'9", and
So like I said, I think if Steph Curry was 3 inches taller, he'd be the best player in the league by far, in my opinion. Because then defensively he'd be
he'd
longer.
be he'd be able to do things on defense. Like I said, I don't think the thing with Steph is that he's a bad defensive player.
He's small.
He's just
Can't
small. It's not lack of trying with him. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He definitely puts in the effort. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. It was good having you on the podcast, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. I had before I got off of here, I said I need to say something that's gonna fuck with people's heads. So I wanted to say I was like I need to say something. I can't go on any podcast and not say something. So my whole Braun is not the best player in the world. Maybe he not even top 3. I want to say that because I want people to come at me because then we got to actually have a real talk. Because then we got to have a real talk. Nobody want to have a real talk. Nobody's gonna have a real talk.
Give him your social media so he can come at you.
I'm at True God Immortal. I'm here I'm not here every day now. I'll be busy. I'll be on the move, but I'm here. I see my mentions. If you got something to say, I didn't check LeBron stands on Twitter multiple times. Hit him with facts, statistics, eye tests, all of that. CP3 stands, y'all don't really show up very much. James Harden stands, y'all very quiet since end of May. So yeah, if y'all need to holler at me, you know what I'm saying? I'm at True Automotive. I'm here. I'm here. If you want to debate it, we can debate it. You probably not gonna win that debate though.
Give him the website again. Give him the website again.
Oh yeah, and if you need to read some of my analysis on these sports things, I would never say this in an article. What I just said right now, I would never say in an article because I don't feel like like that's an article. It's professional stuff. People gonna see that. That's fine. But that's the definerevolution.com. You can go check it out. We got articles up there now. I didn't do anything sports this week, but we did some stuff about hip hop. We did some R&B stuff. I got some other stuff coming up for sports. I mean, mostly basketball. Basketball is my first love. So, basketball and hip hop, my two first loves. So, definerevolution.com. Make sure y'all go check that out. Read some of the stuff we got. Monday through Friday, new content every single day. It used to be 7 days a week, but I got a girl now, so I got to take the weekends off.
Everybody got to take a rest. Everybody needs a
Yeah,
rest. So
yeah. You can't be sitting at the computer, you know what I'm saying, and typing on Saturdays when it's new movies and all that other shit. So nah. So yeah, but yeah, Monday through Friday, new content, man. DefineRevolution.com all the time. And right now, I'm the sole writer. We used to have a team of writers, but everybody got a little busy. So I'm carrying the weight on the back right now. So
y'all
check it
make sure
out.
y'all go and check them out, man. Check them out.
For real.
And definitely CP3 fans and LeBron fans, send y'all can send all y'all hate. Y'all know where to find us, man. It's according to sources at gmail.com, A2 Sources on Twitter, according to sources on Facebook, according to sources.com is the website. We're also part of a podcast and network, the ETMF Podcast Network, where you can find all kinds of podcasts to peruse to your liking. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for coming in today, True. So for
I
Chris,
appreciate it, brother.
Oh wait,
True.
hold on,
Okay.
real quick. I don't know if
Go.
that's a double entendre, but you said true. We said CP3 fans, y'all can come and mention all y'all want, but y'all don't show up.
Hey man, it was a double entendre, but the pun was there. We got it. We got it. I hope the fans got it too. So for Chris, True, I'm Dre. This has been according to sources, and we out.
Jason Whitlock, you need some help, bro, for real. And a small